So next is solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more components. If a solution contains two components, it is called a binary solution. Binary solution. And in binary solutions, it contains two components. One is called solute and other is called solvent. Solute is the component that is present in small quantities and solvent is the component that is present in large quantities. For example, when you dissolve sodium chloride in water, sodium chloride is the solute and water is the solvent. So that is about the solute and solvent. Next is method of expressing the concentrations of the solutions. For example, there are saturated solution and unsaturated solution. Saturated solution and unsaturated solution. A saturated solution is one which contains as much amount of solute as it can dissolve at that temperature. And an unsaturated solution is one which can dissolve more solute in the solvent at that temperature. That is the saturated solution and unsaturated solutions. Then another method for expressing the concentration of solutions are 1. Mass percentage. Mass percentage. So mass percentage is equal to mass of the component into 100 by mass of solution. Mass percentage, here it is W by W, mass by mass. Mass of percentage, mass of the component into 100 by mass of solution. For example, if you dissolve 4 gram of NaOH in 96 gram of water, so mass of solution is 100 and 4 is the mass of the solute. So mass percentage is equal to 4 by 100 into 100, that is 4 percentage. Another method is mass percentage again is mass by volume. So in this case, mass percentage, mass by volume is equal to mass of the component into 100 divided by volume of solution. So that is about the mass percentage by mass and mass by volume. So second method is for expressing the concentration is molarity. Molarity of a solution. Second method is molarity. Capital M. Molarity of a solution is the number of moles of solute that is present per liter of solution. Molarity is the number of moles of solute present per liter of solution. So the method for calculation is molarity is equal to mass of solute by molecular mass of solute into 1000 by volume of solution in cm cube. That's a method for calculating molarity of a solution. Molarity is the number of moles of solute present per liter of solution. Molarity is equal to mass of solute by molecular mass into 1000 by volume of solution in cm cube. And third method is molality. that is small letter m, molality. Molality of a solution is the number of moles of solute that is present in 1 kilogram or 1000 gram of the solvent. Number of moles of solute present per kilogram of the solvent. Method is molality, small letter m is equal to mass of solute by molecular mass into 1000 by mass of solvent in gram. That is molality of a solution. Molality is the number of moles of solute that is present per kilogram of the solvent. Mass of solute by molecular mass into 1000 by mass of solvent in gram. The next method for expressing the concentration is the mole fraction. Mole fraction means it shows the mole fraction of a solution. Mole fraction of a solution Xa is equal to number of moles of A divided by number of moles of A plus number of moles of B. So that is the ratio of number of moles of the one component to the total number of moles of components present in the solution. If A is one component and B is the another component, mole fraction of A is equal to number of moles of A divided by number of moles of A plus number of moles of B. And the sum of mole fractions Xa plus Xb to Xn will be equal to 1. That is the mole fraction of the solution. So these are the methods for expressing the concentration of the solutions. Next you have to study about the solubility. What is solubility? Solubility. Solubility is the number of grams of solute that is dissolved in a given amount of solvent at that temperature. So it is the amount of the solute that is dissolved in a given amount of solvent at that temperature is called solubility. And solubility changes with the temperature. When temperature changes, solubility also changes. So next we have to study about what is vapor pressure. Vapor pressure of a liquid. Vapor pressure of a liquid. So for example, you take some liquid in a beaker and there is this liquid will vaporizes and go into the atmosphere. So here is only atmospheric pressure. The pressure exerted by the atmosphere is atmospheric pressure is only here. But if you close the vessel, now evaporation takes place and condensation also takes place. They will evaporate the liquid. Liquid will evaporate to form vapor and vapor will condense to form the liquid. And at a stage, it attains equilibrium. And at that stage, the pressure exerted by the vapor over the liquid at equilibrium is called vapor pressure of the liquid. So, vapor pressure of the liquid is the pressure exerted by the vapor over the liquid which is at equilibrium. That is called vapor pressure of the liquid. Next we are going to study about the Henry's law. What is Henry's law and what are its applications? Henry's law. Henry's law says that the partial pressure of a gas over the liquid is proportional to its mole fraction in the liquid. Partial pressure, that is when you are dissolving a gas in a liquid, the gas will dissolve in a liquid when you apply pressure. So the partial pressure over the liquid is proportional to its mole fraction in the liquid. So partial pressure proportional to mole fraction, or partial pressure is equal to Kh into mole fraction, where Kh is called Henry's law constant. The importance of Henry's law constant Kh is, as the value of Kh increases, the mole fraction decreases. So if there are two liquids which are having different Kh values, if the solution which is having higher Kh value will have lower molality, mole fraction, so solubility will be less. That is about the Henry's law. So coming to applications of Henry's law. First one is, you are preparing soda water by dissolving carbon dioxide in water under pressure. So when you apply pressure over water and passing carbon dioxide dissolves in water. So when you suddenly open a soda bottle, the water will fizz out. F-I-Z-Z. So it will jump out, that is will fizz out. So the reason is, soda water is prepared by passing carbon dioxide through water under pressure. So more carbon dioxide dissolves in water when you apply pressure. But when the bottle is suddenly opened, then what happens? Its solubility decreases and the dissolved carbon dioxide escape out suddenly. So that causes the fizzing of water. That is the one application related with Henry's law. Second one is, when the scuba divers, S-C-U-B-A, scuba diver. These are divers which go deep into the sea. The scuba divers generally use helium for diluting oxygen. The reason is, if you use air for dilution, when the diver go deep into the sea, the pressure will be very high, so more air will dissolve in their blood. So more nitrogen will dissolve in their blood. But when they come back to the surface, the pressure is very low, so the dissolved nitrogen bubbled out. And that will cause a condition called bend, which is very painful. This condition of bend is very painful. That will cause pain because it will block the capillaries and cause pain. So in order to avoid the bend formation, the scuba divers use helium for diluting oxygen, because helium is having very low solubility. So very little of helium will dissolve in it, so that will prevent the formation of bend. Then coming to the next application of the Henry's law. That is anoxia. Anoxia, that is a condition. As we go, when you climbers, mountain climbers, when they go up in the mountain, the pressure will be very low, so that will contain less amount of oxygen. So when the climbers reach the top of the hill, they get a very low amount of oxygen. So their solubility of oxygen, their availability of oxygen is very low. So that will cause a condition called anoxia, that they cannot, there will be bleeding from the nose and they cannot recognize things. So that condition is called anoxia. So these are the applications. Again, one more. The aquatic life is comfortable at a very low temperature. Aquatic life is, the creatures that is living in water at a low temperature. More air will dissolve in water, so they get sufficient oxygen. So aquatic life is comfortable at a low temperature due to the availability of more air in water. So these are the applications of Henry's law. Next we are going to another law called Raoult's law. Raoult's law. The statement is the partial pressure of a solution containing volatile liquids will be proportional to their mole fraction in the solution. Partial pressure of the volatile component present in a solution. If a solution contains volatile liquids, the partial pressure of the component is proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. So for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the solution. That is partial pressure. If it contains two components A and B, partial pressure of A proportional to mole fraction of A, or partial pressure of A is equal to P0A into A, where P0A is the vapor pressure of the pure component and XA is the mole fraction of A. Similarly, partial pressure of B, PB is equal to P0B into XB, where P0B is the vapor pressure of pure component B. So, Raoult's law says that for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial pressure of each component is directly proportional to its mole fraction in the liquid. So, if a solution obey this Raoult's law, we will get a graph like this. That is, when you draw a graph for a solution which is obeying Raoult's law, is we are plotting here vapor pressure and here it is mole fraction, and this is partial pressure of A, so this is P0A, this is partial pressure of B, P0B. So here mole fraction of B is equal to 1, mole fraction of A is equal to 0. So in this case, mole fraction of A is equal to 1, mole fraction of B is equal to 0. So this is the graph for solution. PS is equal to PA plus PB. Sum of the partial pressures according to Dalton's laws of partial pressure. So this is a graph for a solution which is obeying Raoult's law. So next we have to study what is an ideal solution and what is an non-ideal solution. An ideal solution is one which will obey Raoult's law throughout the entire concentration. The ideal solution is one which will obey Raoult's law throughout the entire concentration, and delta H mixing will be equal to 0, and delta V mixing, delta H mixing and delta V mixing will be equal to 0. That means when two components, if you mix A and B, A when mixed with B, there should not be change in temperature. That is, delta H mixing is equal to 0 means there should be no change in temperature, and delta V mixing is equal to 0 means there should not be no change in volume. So what is an ideal solution? An ideal solution is one which will obey Raoult's law and for the entire concentrations, and delta H mixing is equal to 0 and delta V mixing is equal to 0. That is, there should not be any change in temperature and there should not be any change in volume. Then such solutions are called ideal solutions.